what we know, we have gleaned. You know, I often say, trying to figure out what the administration's policy on drone strikes is a little bit like the challenge that Sovietologists faced during the Soviet Union, where they tried to figure out what the policy of the Soviet Union was by where people were seated in various pictures of the Politburo. You know, we're like, the whole thing is secret. The whole thing is unacknowledged. And therefore, what we have are these abstract discussions by various government officials in various speeches. We have this leaked white paper that addresses one very specific instance of an American citizen, Anwar al-Awlaki, presumably, and doesn't address what the criteria are for non-Americans, et cetera. We have nothing about what the criteria are for signature strikes. I mean, there's just so much that we don't know on this. And, you know, here's another area where I'm sure we agree, which is the president should not have that kind of power without it being transparent.
There is this similarity. David's not going to like this, but there is this. You remember the Abu Zubaydah memo from 2002? So this is the memo that the OLC wrote, John Yoo wrote it, justifying the torture of Abu Zubaydah. And the memo is written in a way that makes it seem like there's all this thought that has gone into the use of these methods against this specific guy in these specific circumstances because this specific guy presents a unique threat. And I was reminded of that when I read the white paper. The white paper has the same, you know, there are many differences, but one similarity between these two things is that they are, they're legal analyses relating to specific people who are thought to pose unique threats. But meanwhile, when John Yoo wrote that memo, there were hundreds of prisoners being tortured in Defense Department facilities, in the CIA, eventually in the CIA's black sites. And meanwhile, we've got this massive program, this massive targeted killing program, where there are hundreds of people, thousands of people who've been killed. And the document that's out there, you know, is so distant from the program. There's just so much space between the program they describe in these public speeches and in the white paper and what's actually taking place on the ground. I mean, there's no mention in the public speeches of signature strikes. There's no mention of targeting anyone except for Al-Qaeda or Taliban leaders. So, you know, it's not just that they haven't said very much about the program, but what they've said, by saying what they've said, I think that they have left a pretty misleading impression of what the program really is. That anyone who just focused on those statements wouldn't have any idea what was actually going on.